Alabama has apparently been intentionally discriminating against black voters, and it's not just me or other members in the media saying that. A federal court said exactly that in a ruling that was released yesterday. This comes after a trial earlier this year over the state's congressional map and a years-long fight, and a federal court ruled that Alabama engaged in intentional discrimination when it refused to draw a congressional plan with a second black majority district after courts, including the Supreme Court, repeatedly rejected maps with just one such district. The 3-judge panel made up of a former President Bill Clinton appointee and 2 by Donald Trump said that its conclusion that Alabama was acting with a discriminatory intent was, quote, unusual, but not a particularly close call. And again, it was majority Trump people put on there or chosen by Trump. Doesn't necessarily mean they love him, but he apparently didn't have a problem with them. And so coming out of this, what might we get? Well, with the finding, the court said it would consider whether to put Alabama under a Voting Rights Act provision that would require it to get federal approval of its congressional plans going forward, which I'm gonna be real with you and honest. I thought the Supreme Court killed that a few years ago. I thought that was one of the terrible things with the Voting Rights Act that they killed, but apparently it is still a possibility. And they say the long and short of it is that the 2023 plan unlawfully dilutes black voting strength by consigning it to one majority black district. The legislature knew what federal law required and purposefully refused to provide it in a strategic attempt to checkmate the injunction that ordered it. And it will, of course, be appealed, but I understand that the law is complex and you can only ever get so much justice, but what bothers me is that they find this and they're like, the legislature did this, but the legislature isn't a thing. The legislature was a collection of people, Republicans who were elected to it. They did this. If the law was violated, it was violated by those people. So, like, I know it's not something serious like stealing cigarettes or something, but like, shouldn't someone suffer some sort of consequences and not just an abstract body having to redo work? Why are the guys, the Republican men who did this, not facing jail time for what they did? I know it's not the system we have, but it feels like the system we should have. What do you think, Brett?
Yeah, it's super bad. Like, a lot of federalism relies on there being like opposition to whatever the potentially corrupt people might be doing, like enough of it in place, and then also respect for the system, right? That being, you could have a bunch of Republicans in Alabama say like, oh, we have power, let's gerrymander this district to all get out. Then you appeal it, it goes to a district court who's like, let's send it to the federales. And then the federales, though, if those guys are corrupted by Donald Trump and they're just serving his purposes, then we're kind of screwed if everything has gone that way in a way disproportionate to the will of the people, right? That's what's so scary about it. But in Alabama, like, Alabama's an interesting state because they have a lot. It's the kind of state that one person can like kind of fix if they want to. They're like a non-collective bargaining state. There's one guy, Paul Hubbard, who was like the 800-pound gorilla of Alabama politics. He ran the teachers union in a place that shouldn't really have strong unions, just because there's so little infrastructure in Alabama, that I think they could find a way to have a small group of people fix this.
Yeah.
But will that person ever be empowered or take power the way that Paul Hubbard did? Because he was kind of like a Mayor Daley type in Chicago, but from Chicago. But I mean, for this, I think there should be laws against gerrymandering. They should be enforced. There should be panels of nonpartisan people and some kind of almost algorithmic way to divide up the areas. Or we should do a system where you vote in your primary for your representative, and then you have a statewide vote, and then you have proportional representation that represents the statewide vote.
Yeah, which you could have. I mean, that's a very big change, but yeah, you could. It would be more like a parliamentary system, obviously. And anyway, yeah, it's right now it's what we have. Obviously, at some point we need to get past the gerrymandering because it's insane. Until then, I forgot the change that I had made in the wake of the election. They're not gonna change it until it hurts the Republicans enough. So I just want to remind all the Democrats in a position to do so, gerrymander your states. It's the only way that we're gonna accelerate to an actual solution here. So you need to do that. So
we've
start
done
doing more of that.
Cali's done it.
Yeah, there are places that the Democrats have. They need to do way more of it. They need to steal as many seats as they can. Use Wisconsin as a template. They've robbed the people of Wisconsin of their actual chosen representatives. Let's do the same thing as much as we can.